Good evening. I'd would like to welcome you to the City of Laurel workshop tonight, City Council workshop, Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. And before I start, I have prepared a letter that I would like to read to the public, please, and also to the council. The date, May 19th, 2026, to the citizens of Laurel, from City Council President Thomas Canopy. This morning, I was made aware of a resignation of Mayor Dave Wagner effective the 22nd of May, 2026. As President of City Council, I will preside over the meetings of the City Councils until vacancy of the office of the mayor has been determined. Vacancy in the offices of the City of Laurel are governed by the City of Laurel's City Charter and the Laurel Municipal Code, which are attached to that I gave you, Council, to this letter. I will be contacting Mayor Wagner as city staff to learn any of the pending matters that need to be addressed so that the operations will work for the cities are uninterpreted. I will not be making any further comments on this matter at this time. Thank you. Sincerely, Thomas Canopy, President of City Council. Citizens may address the council regarding any items of city business that is not on tonight's agenda. The duration for the individual speaking under public input is limited to 3 minutes. While all comments are welcome, the council will not take action on any item not on the agenda. Because of the rules that govern public meetings, council is not permitted to speak or response to any issues raised that are in non-agenda items. The mayor may provide factual information in response with the intention that that matter may be addressed at a later meeting. In addition, the city council may request that particular non-agenda items be placed on an upcoming agenda for the consideration. Citizens should not construe council's silence on any issue as an opinion one way or the other. Regarding that non-agenda matter, council simply cannot debate an item that is not on the agenda. And therefore, they must be simply listened to the feedback given during the public input. If a citizen would like to speak or comment regarding any of the item that is on tonight's agenda, we ask that you wait until the agenda item is presented to the council by the mayor and the public is asked to comment by the mayor. Be advised, if discussion items has an upcoming public hearing, we would request members of the public to reserve your comments until the public hearing. At the public hearing, the city council will establish an official record that will include all of your comments, testimony, and written evidence. Is there any public comment?
Pledge of allegiance tonight or no?
We do not. No.
It's the worst. All right. Turn the thing on. Here's the little guy. Hello, my name is Barb Emineth. I live at 501 Alder. Politicians, not unlike monopoly companies, conduct themselves with the assumption that what they're doing at some point will be legally challenged. I figure it's because they know what they're attempting to do is wrong, which is why the meeting on April 22nd, where the citizens of Laurel had hoped to have some questions answered about the proposed mental health facility, was so infuriating. All we got was a representative from DPHHS and a representative from BOI who sat there recording and taking notes as people made statements. And this was touted as a public hearing. Meanwhile, a contract was being signed at BOI's monthly meeting with a construction company who apparently is being hired to build the facility. They refused to answer any questions whatsoever, including whether their notes or the recording would be shown to anyone else. This is not what transparency looks like. This is what preparing for a predetermined outcome looks like. These people gather in a room with closed doors and work up a plan, always making sure to cover their own butts. This also isn't representative of the people's feedback or input, which is supposed to be considered before decisions are made as part of our democratic society. I believe I was cursed with a more accurate compass than most when it comes to knowing right from wrong. It's unfortunate that the timeline of events has gotten us here. I'm pretty sure that soon there will be, in fact, a changing of the guard, so to speak, in this town, in this state, and in this country. The light is being shined on the corruption, the lies, the incompetence, the crimes, and last but not least, the complicity. We have a Hitler wannabe running the country. And I will scream that fact from the mountaintop if needed. My biggest hope is that history does not repeat itself. After reading the ex-mayor's unsigned 5-page letter online, it seems he understands the relationship between cities and states, the two parties who have apparently been communicating about the proposed facility. But what he doesn't seem to understand is the relationship between local elected officials and the citizens they work for, where there has been limited communication at best. So I think it's time to change things up a bit. If Laurel is to survive, we must elect people who have open minds and can see the big picture, as well as plan for the future. Growth must happen responsibly, and we all must have a seat at the table, which is why I support the Laurel Cared nonprofit organization, and I encourage all Laurel citizens to do the same, knowing they will do great things in the coming days. I recently learned about the acidity trap and would like to share it.
That's your time.
Anybody? There you go. There you go.
Go ahead and continue.
All right. Its name comes from a historian who explained the battle between Athens and Sparta in ancient Greece. Athens' power was on the rise, which made Sparta fearful, because a rising power always threatens an existing power. And when people start making decisions out of fear, conflict usually follows, and war is inevitable. Civilizations walk right into ruin because of their inability to accept that power is temporary. They convinced themselves their fear was self-righteousness, and that is when it becomes dangerous for the rest of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Shelley White, 512 Wyoming Avenue. I'm going to start by addressing recall petition and the subsequent resignation of the mayor. And in starting, I'm going to start with 3 words: we the people. We the people are the first 3 words of the preamble to the Constitution. Those 3 words not only set the tone for the preamble, but the tone for the entire Constitution. What it did was set responsibility. The responsibility of the people to determine how the government functions, who it reports to, what the consequences for failure to report to the people are: before every council meeting, the cared group, and whichever citizen would like to, we have a meeting beforehand. And I'm sure some people would think that tonight, when we went in there would be a little celebration because of the mayor's resignation. That is not the fact. What it was really the realization of just one part of holding our government accountable. Accountable to the people and accountable in its transparency. It was just one part in a larger battle that we are up against. We are up against a government who chooses to dictate to the people. And as the preamble states, we the people, it is up to the people to dictate how the government functions, not the government dictating to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to stand up and talk? Please do so. State your name and address.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lorenz. I live at 916 Fifth Avenue. I have something more positive tonight. I just want to acknowledge and respect Mayor Dave Wagner's decision to resign. And I know that it could not have been an easy decision. And I believe it took strength and self-awareness to make it happen. As a 100% disabled veteran living with lupus, I learned some very difficult lessons about health, limits, and responsibility. Lupus does not care about titles, public pressure, or pride. It forces you to understand your limitations, whether you want it to or not. One of the hardest lessons I ever had to learn was that I had to prioritize my health and well-being above everything else. And I had to learn to budget my energy carefully because when it's gone, it's gone. In many ways, Mayor Wagner's battle with cancer placed him in a similar position. Serious health challenges change a person's perspective and force difficult decisions about what truly matters. And they remind us that no title or position is more important than personal health, peace, family, and quality of life. While there have been disagreements and strong emotions throughout this process, I believe it is important to recognize when someone makes a difficult decision for the good of themselves and the community. Laurel has been deeply divided, and now the city has an opportunity to heal, rebuild trust, and move forward together. I sincerely wish Mayor Wagner the best in his continued health journey and hope he is able to focus fully on himself and his family and his recovery moving forward. That being said, the question becomes, what is next for Laurel? The Laurel City Council obviously has to make a special session and formally accept his resignation. Tom becomes the 30-day interim at least, and there's a bit of a kerfuffle with the county elections office about whether or not we get to appoint our new leader or our new mayor, or whether or not there has to be an election. So it's going to end up having to be between the city attorney and the Yellowstone County Elections Office to figure out what the process is moving forward. But they told me today that we are going to have a special election. So I'm just going to go off of what they told me. It may be incorrect, so I'm not trying to mislead you or send you down the wrong avenue, because they told me that city charter is not superseded by state law, which is contradictory to what I understood. So, but anyways, what the anticipated thing from Yellowstone County I got today was candidate filings are expected to open Thursday, May 21st, since they're going to try and run this like a special election. With an anticipated election to take place in early September by the 3rd of September. This process is not simply administrative. It is an opportunity to help define the future of our city. City Council now carries both the responsibility and the opportunity to help guide Laurel through this transition and ensure, can I have a couple more minutes? Okay, thank you.
Continue.
I'm almost done, I promise.
You're good.
I'm trying to be positive and nice.
You're fine.
Okay. The City Council now carries both the responsibility and the opportunity to help guide Laurel through this transition and ensure the community has strong, transparent, and stable leadership moving forward. The last several City Council meetings have given many of us a glimpse of what working with the community and for the community can look like. I've actually sincerely enjoyed coming to the last few meetings. There's been more communication, more public engagement, and a greater sense that citizens are finally being heard. I hope the council recognizes how important this has been for the people of Laurel and feels inspired by the cooperation and understanding shown over the last few weeks. The community does not want to be an adversary to its local government. We simply want to be a partner in the future development and success of Laurel. As you move forward in selecting interim leadership, or if we do end up having to appoint a person, I ask each member of the council to think carefully about what Laurel truly needs, not what is politically convenient or personally preferred, but what is best for the long-term health, stability, transparency, and growth of this community. This is a critical moment for our city, and I pray for each of you and encourage you to seek wisdom, guidance, and unity as you help lead Laurel through this transition and into its next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak? Thank you.
Shauna Hopper, 504 Roundhouse. I'm going to read this, and I have permission from Councilman Brent Edgement to reference his online post that he made just last week. During my tenure as a high school offensive line football coach, my primary responsibility was to ensure the cohesion and teamwork of our 5 linemen on the front. Our guiding principle was to hit like a fist, which required each member to work in concert, much like the fingers on a hand. Each finger had a distinct role to play in making a formidable fist. The thumb representative, the positive and encouraging team member, fostering a "we've got this" mentality. Move the sticks, thumbs up. The index finger symbolized the pointer finger, driving home the importance of executing assignments to achieve success, leading the way. The ring finger embodied faith and determination, pushing the team to move forward and achieve their objectives. We got this, we need this, we have to get it done. The pinky finger attended to the fine details, ensuring precision and attention to specific blocking and techniques. Clean it up. Lastly, the middle finger represented the high impact player who could either disrupt the opponent's strategy potential or just fruit someone up, blow it up. When our linemen work together like a well-coordinated fist, we significantly increased our chances of success. I was privileged to collaborate with exceptional coaches and student athletes during my coaching tenure. I appreciate the athletic directors for their support, the coaches that allowed me to coach, and most importantly, the young men who played for me. With that being said, I think it's really important that everybody looks at a fist. The right leader, a city attorney, city staff and department heads, city council, and a community that advocates and is involved can have the same success as Mr. Edgeman's football team. Together, we can make this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak? Please do so. State your name, address.
Jeremy Lawville, 1035 9th Avenue. Something I've noticed over the last months that you guys get bombarded with a lot of stuff that should be going to the BOI, the governor, and you take that very well. And it's kind of frustrating because I don't think that a lot of us feel like if we say anything or that we can even get a hold of them, it seems like it's pretty hard to do. I've said before, this is kind of reactionary, what I've seen the city council kind of be in this, in the city administration. And I would like to see some proactivity on your guys' part and upon the city's part in regards to this. I would like to hear communication from you guys that we've written a letter to the BOI, to the DPHHS, to the governor, that we're requesting conversations with them down here with their representatives on a weekly basis. Send something, do something. be a little proactive in this. And honestly, I'd like to see the media get involved and ask some questions, because if they're not going to listen to us and you guys haven't been as, I mean, there's been a couple of things, but I want to see more aggressiveness from you guys, honestly. Get them down here, let them talk. They say they've talked to us, but they haven't. They just call in and that sort of thing. And the April 22nd was just a listening thing. They couldn't actually say anything because it was just the attorneys to hear. It wasn't actually anybody that had any answers. And so we would like answers. The city, I think, has learned that they need to be on top of being proactive about getting this out to the council, getting out to the people before they make a letter of some sort up there. I think that has been well established in the last several months. But now it's out of our hands to some extent because the state's still going forward with their buy-sell. They still have that place under contract. And that's nothing you guys can stop here. You guys can't stop that, but we would like to see, I guess I would like to see personally that you guys get involved and try to get them to talk to us, because that's still going through at this point. And we don't want them to buy it at all because it's just right in the middle of all the development plans and everything that's been talked about over these months. The biggest thing is let's at least show that they're not communicating with us. That would be nice. Like the city of Laurel sent an invitation to have Dan Villa come down and talk to the city council and the community of Laurel about this situation. We sent it this week, we sent it this week, we sent it this week, we sent it that week, and they have not responded, or at least have something on record. Be aggressive, be upfront, be forward-thinking. Back to the football analogy, a football team that sits on their back and is always reactionary loses. They have to attack. We need to get some aggressiveness in how we're handling this. Something at least to show that we're not just waiting for it to continue to happen. We still want dialogue. We still want to have these things going on. And again, I'd like to see the media do a little more digging, have some stories, put some pressure on them as well.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak? State your name and your address, please.
Laura Kirschman, 939 West 4th Street. Good evening, everyone. I also want to wish Dave the best as far as his cancer diagnosis. I've seen a lot of cancer in my previous roles working in healthcare. I worked with pediatric cancer patients, seen the good, bad, and ugly. I've lost a lot of people. And I do hope that he's on a good treatment plan. And I hope that, like I saw a lot of kids ring that bell when they're done, I hope he gets to ring the bell someday too. So if he's watching, I do, Dave, hope you get to that point. And I do think he made the right decision, and I am excited to see where we can go from here. I hope we can get to a good, strong leadership position as far as whoever takes the mayor position. And I am excited to continue to play an active role as a citizen, part of the Laurel Care Committee, and work alongside all of you as our city council, and, get Laurel back on track. And, we have still a lot that we need to work on. I think we're all aware of that. But, I do think this was the first step in getting to where we need to be. So I just wanted to get up here and say that. I thank a lot of you for doing what you have been doing, but there's still a lot of work to do. So thank you all for what you've done so far, and I'm excited to see where we can go from here. Thank you.
Thank you. If there is anyone else, please state your name and your address, please.
Jacob Schreiner, I'm one of the county residents, but I pastor here in Laurel, and I do still have a Laurel address. I have on the 59044. As I've been hearing people talk, and as things have happened, especially over this last week with the recall and walking into the mayor's resignation, and even just what people have spoken tonight, I believe there is a call right now for leadership to step up in how this community has been run, in what things can look like. And my heart, and I know for many people that I've communicated with through this process, is that Laurel gets set on a different trajectory. We've seen so many times where things just happen where, to be honest, we just expect the same. and for things to be different right now. Whether that plans out that a mayor is appointed for this next season, or if we have to go to an election, I honestly believe that people are asking for leadership in this season. What you just heard in the call for, will there be action? Will there be different things? I don't know if being aggressive is a hard thing to hear. Then be decisive, be specific, make the choice that it has to be different in this season, and to take leadership in what it would look like for our community to have a different future. We've made a pretty big shift, and I don't honestly know in my lifetime if Laurel has ever found something that it can be this unified about. This is important. There is a moment right now that begins to change things, and it actually allows us to have the opportunity to not just hear the old things that we have. And so as you all are walking through this process, can you not just expect that it would be what it's been? Would you honestly look at the processes, the policies, the things that have led us to this place where we are in such a mess, and make the changes that need to happen? Make the decisions that need to be walked out, to review things, to make, honestly, the moratorium was a fantastic option. We paused and we said, no, we're not going to do this. There's probably 50 other things that need to be paused for the city right now in order to look at it and actually make the decisions that need to come. Don't rush through this. Don't force this. Don't just do what is the next thing, but honestly take the time to have the decisions weighed out and walk through. We are praying for wisdom for all of you. We are asking that this can actually be something that will benefit Laurel and it won't turn into another fight. But it's going to take leadership for that to happen. And so we are hoping, we are behind all of you, that decisions can be made that will change things. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak? Please do so.
Hi, Amber Zahn, 1224 West 4th Street. I'm going off script. As you guys know, it's never pretty when I do this, so I'm sorry. But I do want to start off with wishing Dave the best. You know, this has never been about vengeance. This has never been ill feelings at all. This is about governance. This is about process. This has always been about the citizens want to be a part of this because we are the citizens. You know, we're with you guys. You're supposed to be with us. I think what we're asking for now is, yes, leadership, communication. Like, we want to be at the table with you, or we want to be taken into consideration just as much. You know, we don't want to be caught off guard like we were with the biggest thing that brought us all together. But I do want to tell you all of you, through all of this, whether it was good, bad, or otherwise, you were so appreciated. I just hope that moving forward, we can continue to keep a good relationship. We're going to have disagreements. We're going to probably not see eye to eye all the time, but we are citizens of Laurel, all of us. We all mean something, and we should all be heard. So, sorry, off script, but thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to stand up and speak? Please do so.
Elizabeth Gill, 1200 Cedar Crest Circle. I don't have anything scripted. I would like to just beg everyone in this room to look over the city charter and moving forward, realize that the city council is in control, and any ordinance and resolution that exists that gives more power to the CAO or the mayor to make decisions for the community without any community input, those should be re-examined and probably changed. Any powers that are given by the city council, and that can be taken back because you guys are in charge. Well, we're in charge, and you work for us, and we want to work with you. And if you don't want to do that, then I honestly don't know why you keep showing up every week. I don't have the same empathy as everyone else in my group. If someone shows me who they are, I'm going to believe them the first time. I'm glad to have, one thing out of the way, and I'm ready to move on to the next thing and make positive forward motion and build positivity in the community that I want to raise my children in. I do have one positive project I've been working on, the group has, and I would ask that maybe it be put on the agenda for review either next week or
Just like general discussion. I've been in contact with the Department of Transportation, and we've received permission to do a mural on the First Street underpass. I've spoken with 2 mural artists, one in Arizona and one here, and I had originally planned to have them submit competing projects and have the community vote on them. And then they knew each other and they reached back out to me and they said, hey, we would rather do this together. And I thought that that was like just kind of a really lovely example of like what Laurel should be moving forward. You know, maybe not competing, maybe working together and choosing to work together to build things and create a community that we all love. Anyways, I'm going to be working on them with design ideas and funding plans and stuff like that. And I would love like your guys's input and involvement. It'll be like probably like a year-long project. And yeah, I'm excited about just anything that isn't really stressful and depressing. So.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to stand up and speak? Please take the time to do so.
Chris Bogley, 306 East 4th Street. And I'm not sure if we're going to get a chance to speak during agenda items, but since we can't speak to them here correctly. Is that correct?
Right.
So I do have something to say under the agenda item for the attorney contract, which I submitted some documentation to the city council.
During this time, Chris, excuse me,
Yeah, I'm going to. I just wanted to make sure that I was going to have time because there's been some agenda items that public comment has been skipped over during the work session.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that I had time to do that there. And if I didn't, I would do that here. So thank you. I just want to cover a few things on the letter that the mayor sent to Laurel residents last Friday at the point of the recall election and the notice. And it was kind of a quasi civics lesson. But I just want to reiterate that we are not spreading false information. We're spreading information that we receive from public records requests. And we have based all of our actions and our writings and everything on what we have received as evidence. And there was some comments made in his letter about council's involvement in the early stages of the forensic psychiatric facility, and that Billings City Council was invited because there was some property in Billings that they were considering in the city limits, but Laurel City Council wasn't invited because everything was out of city limits. Well, why did our city staff go for something that was out of city limits? I think our city council has just as much a right to go on a tour and see sites that the state is inviting them to. The state invited all of you, and they sent the message through the CAO and through the mayor, but the state invited you to go on that tour, and you have every right to go on that tour. It doesn't mean that you are making up your mind or you have some quasi-judicial role. You don't. You have a role to serve your citizens and to understand what's there and what's going to be there and what the state's plans are so that you can make a decision. That's why you have to disclose any communications that you might have with a member through the process. And it's exactly what it's for. If only 1 or 2 of you went, you would disclose that to everybody on the council and let them know for future decision making. So I just wanted to clear up a few things on there because there was comments made about falsities and that there's a reason why the city council wasn't involved. But really, if you didn't need to be involved, why are we paying our city administrators to be involved if it wasn't in the city limits? So it doesn't make sense. So thank you.
Larry McPhail, 315 Derlin. I want to say, I don't envy you guys right now. You're in a tough spot. You've been in a tough spot for months. And since the last time I was here, I feel a slight change in the tenor. It's a little bit more relaxed. Nobody's overly angry right now with anybody. They've still got a mission. and they will follow through. My boss says to me all the time, don't take your foot off the gas, Larry. If you take your foot off the gas, they're not going to take their foot off the gas. And I think what they're asking and hoping from you guys is that you won't take your foot off the gas either. We recognize your value and what you bring to the community, and you're here for a reason. You chose to be here. And we respect that and accept that. And hopefully going forward, we'll be able to make things happen together and not separate. Last time I was here, you could feel the divide in the room. I don't feel that so much today. It's still there, but I don't feel it so much. As far as Mayor Wagner, I also wish him success with his treatment and whatnot. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to stand up and speak? Please do so. With that said, we will be moving on. General items. Number one, the appointment of Derek Russell to the Laurel Urban Renewal Agency for the remainder of a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2029. And Forrest is here and would talk to us if you would, please.
For the record, Forrest Sanderson representing the Laurel TIF district. We had a vacancy on the school district appointee, Peggy Pollock, resigned her position on the LURA committee. We received a recommendation from the school district that the mayor appoint and the council affirm Vice Assistant Principal Derek Russell to represent the Laurel school districts on the TIF board.
Thank you. Our next agenda is appointment of Ryan Addis for the city civil attorney for a 2-year term. And I'm going to move number 2 and number 3 out to number 7, where we will direct it. And going with that, number 2 and number 3 will be addressed on number 7 here. Is there any other conversation for what we've heard? Okay, moving on to executive review. Finance resolution, a resolution of the city council to adopt an official schedule of fees and charges for the city of Laurel and repealing all previous resolutions that set fees or charges that conflict with the schedule attached hereto upon its effective date. What's that?
This is the third time it's come on, so next week will be the
Got
public
it.
hearing regarding these schedule of fees.
The next resolution, or what's that? Oh, yeah. Actually, is there anybody from city council that would like to speak on this? Oh, my, good. Moving on. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please do. Just you state your name and
Yeah.
address again.
Jeremy Lovell, 1035 9th Avenue. What are the fees for? Is this like a whole revamp of all the fees, or is this just the FOIA fees? What are we talking about here?
It's a schedule of fees and charges. This is the third reading. So it's been at the last 2 meetings. There's a copy of it in the packet that was online if you want to see it, but it's all the fees that are going to be charged throughout the city of Laurel.
Any other questions? Moving to number 5. Planning resolution, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Laurel, Montana, approving agreement between Peaks Planning and Consulting LLC and the City of Laurel related to an on-call planning service. And with that, we'll bring up Forrest again. And that's fine.
Get the button on again. Good evening, Council President, Council. I would answer any questions. The agreement was part of the packet. It is substantially similar to everything that I have done for the city for essentially the last 8 years, with the add to assist with your compliance with LUPA, with your hired engineering firm to move that forward. as well as some other administrative duties that have not existed in the past. But with that, I'd answer any questions.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. Thank you. So will you also, under this agreement, be able to assist with the work that we need to do regarding the kind of the checkpoints on the moratorium?
I submit that would fall under Administrative Services, Councilperson McKay.
So is that a yes?
That would be a yes.
Thank you.
That's where I'd put it anyway, is in Administrative Services, so yes. I love the long answer, you know that.
I know, but that's why I kind of went back for the short one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Forrest?
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6, Public Works Resolution. The resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with Morrison Merrily to provide engineering services for the city of Laurel. And Matt, would you please come up and speak? Thank you.
Well, I'm here to answer any remaining questions you might have. We've talked about this for last couple, 2-3 meetings. It was the company that the committee believes will be the most qualified to do the jobs that the city will require over the next 5 years. And we have plans for some big projects. So with that.
Councilmember McKay, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to add with that, we just had Public Works last night, and we talked about if they are approved this evening, having them attend our next Public Works meeting and being able to kind of start lining out some of those big projects, making some lists of what's first and what we're looking at. So that's what we talked about last night.
Yeah, that is exactly correct. And we have a few things that need to be moved on right away. We're time sensitive on a couple different issues. So.
Any other questions for Matt? Go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you. Matt, do you envision a long tradition or transition from KLJ to Morrison Merrily? Is that going to happen quickly, do you think?
Yes, it will happen very quickly. KLJ is no longer employed with the city, and we are in need of engineering services at this time. So there's a few projects that were in the works that will be reviewed, but yes, the transition will be now.
Okay, so I'm just curious of how long it would take them to get up to speed.
I would think that not very long.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
You bet.
Thanks, Matt. We're good. So moving on to number 7, Mayor Resolution, a resolution of the City Council authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with Taylor, Nicastro, and Brown LLC for provisions of civil city attorney legal services for the city of Laurel. And that is, the gentleman is here right now and would like to take and talk to us. And his name is Ryan, and he is going to tell us a little bit. He will speak on behalf of Taylor, how are you pronouncing Nicastro, and Brown.
All right, so first off, my name is Ryan Ennis. Thank you for having me here this evening. I guess I'll just give a little bit of background. I'm not going to read or kind of regurgitate too much what's already been put into the submittal that our firm sent to you folks. But basically, my name is Ryan. I am also, unfortunately, Grayson Hill couldn't be here tonight. He had other commitments. I work with Grayson in my firm. And our firm is based out of Billings. We started in January. All of us used to work at another firm that was regional, based out of the Denver area, but it was Billings office. And I've been doing local government and civil litigation for about 12 years now. Grayson's been out of school a bit longer than me. He's been doing it for about 4. I'm a resident of Billings. I've been there for 12 years when I moved here from Ohio. I went to school in Cincinnati and undergrad in West Virginia. A lot of the work that I do on the civil litigation side of things is I do a lot of defense work for cities and towns through the MMIA. So about 75–80% of my practice is in civil defense litigation, defending a lot of municipalities, but also private entities, all that kind of sort. I've also been, and I currently am as well, I've been the city attorney over in Columbus for the past 7 years. It'll be 7 years in July. And so basically what our submittal was for, you might think it's a bit odd. There's 2 names on there, but the idea being I have a lot of the municipal experience, and the idea is that over time, I'll kind of take it and be kind of the primary, but I'm hoping over time Grayson can take this if he so wants to, and he can kind of be the point person. Grayson is from Laurel. He's been here since he was 12, went to high school here, went to law school in Missoula. And my idea would be is that hopefully over time, if he likes this kind of work, I enjoy it personally. But the idea would be is that I kind of take the ball and run with it, and then over time I can kind of transition it. But the other idea of having kind of 2 folks on there for you guys is with our litigation schedule, we're always either in trials or depositions or discovery disputes, things like that. And so I thought it'd be a good idea just to kind of have a backup point person for you folks. There's no intention to try to double bill this or do anything like that. It's mainly for manpower and to make sure that there's coverage for you folks, because we do have quite a bit of busy litigation practice as well. I guess I would entertain any kind of specific questions that you folks may have.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. Do either of you have much experience or background in land use issues?
Yes, I just presented like a week ago on land use decisions. I've done a lot in litigation. I've also been doing land use stuff for 7 years. I've been involved in a little bit of subdivision review, use permits, variances, things of the sort. A lot of the stuff that I've done in land use has mostly been in the litigations side of things, just basically cities and towns get sued for their decisions and I come in and defend them. Earlier in January, we got a Supreme Court opinion in favor of all cities and towns throughout the whole state on statute of repose applying to building departments. So yeah, I have quite a bit of experience in land use, but that's a pretty broad topic. I would say that most of that experience is in your zoning and planning with a little bit of it in subdivision review, then also defending subdivision denials and things of the sort.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Jody.
Doug Pales, 119 Yellowstone. Having been on council before, I know we usually have both a civil attorney and a prosecution attorney. Do we have that now? Okay, that's the first thing I want to do, make sure we had both covered. And typically we just sign with the company and not additional to people. Now, I understand you hope you won't ever double bill us, but typically that's how it goes. And so my question is will you both be working at the same time? Or will one of you work and then the other guy take over? Or because when you're looking at $250 an hour, basically we're guaranteeing you 20 hours a week. And if we do that for both of you, we have a financial problem here.
So I'm glad you brought up a couple points that I need to correct for you.
Okay.
So first off, the rate schedule we propose is 225, 210, and 110 for paralegal.
Okay.
We are not going to be doing any minimum hours. When we had the interview with a couple of the folks from the city last week, the first question I asked was, do you guys really need 20 hours a week? That's a lot.
Okay.
We're not doing anywhere near that. And so basically this is gonna be strictly hourly. We're not gonna have any sort of mandatory minimums. We're not gonna both be working on the same project at the same time. Now, I can't say in the initial
Sometimes
phase.
it's happened.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, and I might review things that started by Grayson and vice versa. But no, we're not, the fee schedule we propose is 225 for partners in my firm, 210 for the associate, which would be Grayson. And then if we ever need paralegal work, we have 110.
You explained it. That's good for me.
Yeah.
Because the agenda didn't.
Sure.
And that's all I had.
I guess that's part of why I'm here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Hi,
Council
sorry.
member.
My question is more for you, Kelly, than you, sorry.
Sure, fine.
With the legal budget that we currently have, with this new proposal, will that be going above and beyond what is already budgeted for legal services?
Legal services are hard to know into the future. We visited with Ryan and Grayson both last week and talked about the things that the city of Laurel needs, the things that may be coming up in the future. And we have determined that that we would need them approximately 5 to 8 hours a week, which would roughly put them in the same price as what we are currently paying.
Go ahead, Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. When I first started my question, I apologize. I didn't tell you, thank you for being here. I want you to know how much I appreciate you being here to answer questions. So I apologize that I just jumped right in. That said, one of the other things I think it's interesting that the city does not have a dedicated HR department. And I think that is an issue that possibly we can look into in the future, because I think that would be important. What has happened in the past is that I think our legal counsel has done a lot of our HR stuff. Is that also something that you have experience with, you're familiar with, and how do you feel about that?
Okay, so Columbus does have an HR department. We're even smaller than you folks over here. This is an amazing amount of people. I've never seen this many people in a room before, so awesome. But scary but awesome. So what I would say is this: I have given advice on personnel matters, everything from hiring to discipline to termination to collective bargaining, and things of that sort, and looking at the appeal process, grievances. I have helped in all those areas, but I am not like I haven't had background as being like the HR either person or substitute. Basically what my experience has been on a municipal level is given advice, like here's the process, here's step one. You go through your personnel policy and be like, okay, what's the issue? Why do you want to discipline this employee, or why do you want to grieve? And just basically helping go through the workflow from start to finish, and then giving advice on, basically appropriate next steps moving forward. But I wouldn't say that I've done HR work because I've never been hired as an HR person before.
Go ahead. Go ahead and step up there.
Jeremy Lovell, 1035 9th Avenue. Seeing as the reason you see all these people is because of the mess we're dealing with for the last 5-6 months now. And you're coming into this, have you checked into what's been going on? What's your initial thought process? I mean, I'd like to honestly know what your guys' initial take is on this. It's not a legal opinion, I understand that, but as potential for the city attorney, what's your thoughts there?
So I'll be candid, I haven't done any kind of research, or I don't formulate opinions. I am very loosely, when I say loosely aware, it's what's in the paper that my wife shows me, because I don't read that kind of stuff. I work a lot. And so basically, I haven't done any kind of the research. I haven't done nearly enough research to have an educated opinion or anything like that to say it's one way or the other by what I think about it. I would never give personal thoughts, and I don't think for me that would be appropriate to do as legal counsel. I'm not if I were to be city attorney, I'm not an elected body or official. I don't make political decisions. I just look at it from a law perspective. So, but I'll be honest, I haven't gone through all the detailed analysis and looked at this and that. That's something that honestly I would undertake if we're given the opportunity to do so. So sorry if that's not a good answer.
Question for you. I just have a question for you.
You have to come up to the mic and again, do your.
Shelley White, 512 volume window. Just one question, because why all these people are here is because of the mess that this city is in. And so what we would expect is an attorney for the city, which is the people, to be able to give the city government maybe not the opinion that they're looking for, but the hard truth and the legal truth. Is that something that you would be willing to do for the people?
Yeah. Good luck finding a lawyer who said they're not going to follow the law. I like the.
There's plenty of
No, not admit to it. So what I'll kind of say to that is, I do the same approach in Columbus. I've also represented hundreds of private clients as well. I've also done criminal prosecution for most of my career, which I didn't bring up because we're not doing that work here for you folks. You already have a great prosecutor that I know very well. But what I would say is I have oftentimes, many times in my career, I have had a very unfavorable, unpopular opinion when it needed to be there. Legal counsel is to tell you what, and you know, we get things wrong. I've been wrong before. I've been right before. I've been right a lot. I've been wrong though as well. In my view, the goal of legal counsel for any entity, whether it's public or private, but especially for a city, is to give honest and frank and forthright legal counsel. And so my goal and my ethical obligation under my license is to always give full, frank, and honest legal advice to the best of my ability. So.
Thank you. Do you have a question for him?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want me
State
to
your
ask
name.
you a question? Oh, just kidding. Cheryl Hill, 815 Fifth Avenue. My concern is currently, I guess my question is, currently financially, we have an attorney that has basically a cap. Okay, so she is getting paid X amount. It doesn't matter if she puts in 5 hours or 400 hours. Okay. I saw a little bit, I guess it doesn't explain on the agenda a little bit, but I guess my concern is because we have budgets and you are hourly, my concern was, is there a cap for you? Like if we get to a point in that we're like, okay, well, you know, we don't have $40,000 this month to, you know what I mean? Like it would be my concern, is because we don't currently have that in our budget. And, how do you look at that as far as like making sure that we as a city can actually afford? And then the other thing parallel to that is, I know that some of us can be long-winded and kind of like, oh, well, what about this? Or how about, you know, is there a way that you could professionally say, hey, we're not going to talk about that because, you know, it's going to waste taxpayers' money? Does that make sense? I just don't want to pay for jibber jabber.
Sure. I think it is. I will. So we have proposed strictly an hourly fee schedule. We did put in our submittal that we are willing to entertain, you know, potentially other kind of fee arrangements. But what I'll tell you, and this is going to be very candid, but also blunt to the point, at some point, I have other work that pays more. So like when I do the municipal work, I usually gauge it in the lower range of what my kind of hourly fee structure is for other kind of work. And I do that because, well, one, I have bosses that can tell me if I can take this or not. And so when we put in our submittal, that was basically like, this is what we approve you guys to go and do work for. So what I would say is, if there's any kind of, if we're constantly billing a lot of hours per month and we're just constantly, it's getting real expensive, we're always going to be open to the idea of, you know, potential arrangements and things like that. But it would require further discussion on my end of things with my firm, and also with the council, with the mayor, and whoever that may be. I do flat work for Columbus, but I do it personally. I don't do it through my firm. I've been doing that for like 7 years now. But I also have a very definitive amount of time that I spend there. And so basically it's kind of a cost analysis for us, because and no offense, but like if you guys end up needing 40, 50 hours a month of legal work and I'm putting that in on a flat rate basis, I'm losing, either I'm working that much more, or because I have hours that I got to make, or I'm kind of eating into my time for my firm. And so basically, that's something we can consider, and we'd be open to it. But as of today, what we submitted and what is being looked at tonight is strictly hourly.
Elizabeth Gill, 1200 Cedar Crest Circle. I have a couple questions back and forth. How many candidates submitted applications from either firms or individuals for this position?
Yeah, there were two.
So
go ahead.
two separate, so them and then somebody else?
Correct.
And you guys did the interviews for both?
Yes, we did.
And
We got to sit in, I'll tell you who were on them, was
the mayor, was at both. Mr. Markegard, CAO, myself, council president, council vice president Closey, and Kelly.
And do any of the people in that group know any of these individuals personally outside of this?
I do not, and I don't believe anybody has. It was an introduction and very well welcomed once
Okay.
we got to talk to them.
How did you find out about the position that was open? Did somebody tell you about it? Were you actively looking for it?
So it was on the city website, and I also routinely will not patrol, but the League of Cities and Towns will also be another avenue for where I could look at potential RFPs and RFQs throughout the state. And so, and I was also from kind of aware of the coverage. I kind of was made aware that there was probably likely potentially a change in the near future. And so it's something I was actually kind of looking for, or looking to see if it was posted.
So you were interested in more, like adding more to your plate? Why specifically Laurel?
Because you guys are next door to where I live.
And how about Grayson? I guess you can't speak for him. He's not here, but I'm curious if he has lived here for 12 years or was raised here or whatever. I guess I'm very pessimistic, and I just want to know what the relationships are, because they haven't seemed to really be working out for us, you know, and I think that the community needs to come before personal relationships in City Hall. And I want to make sure that every single contract that you guys adopt with anybody moving forward is not a conflict of interest, and that there's no like special interest or personal relationships.
So Grayson's been here since he was 12. He's been here about 18 years. He went to, grade school all the way up through high school here, went to U of M for law school, and his family still runs a business here in Laurel.
You know what that is?
Hill Builders. And so he has a lot of ties to the community, and basically how Grayson got involved is said, hey, Grayson, you have the Laurel connection. I'm looking at putting in for this. Would you mind do you have any interest in doing this with me? And he said, yeah, I did. And he doesn't have the huge municipal background like I do, or as much as the experience. He's only been out of school about 4 years, but the basic concept was, if this is something you like, maybe over time, this is something you can kind of take over and kind of make it your own, because you do have the connections to this community that I don't have. But a big driving factor as to why I thought it'd be a good thing to put in for is because it is close proximity to where I work.
All right. My other question, I guess, was who, as a city attorney, who would you represent? There's been some like interesting, I don't even know the words for it, right? But the executive branch and the legislative branch, they both need representation. And when one believes that they have power over the other, how do you determine what, like, how do you, like, who's in charge? How do you put someone in their place? How do you make sure that the right people are making the decisions? Do you protect the mayor over the city council? Like what happens?
So that's a great question. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to look forward if that's okay. So great question, not a very easy or simple answer. So basically, something that is difficult in local government, but I would say any kind of government, is trying to figure out who the client is. So anytime you're an attorney and you're trying to figure out who you're giving advice to, excuse me, it's okay. So I have to figure out who's my client. So if we were to be civil city attorney for the city of Laurel, the client is the city of Laurel. It's not the council versus the mayor versus an employee. The question always is going to become, the analysis always going on in my head is, who exactly is my client? My client's the city. What does that mean in a certain circumstance? What's going to change? And so basically what I view the legal counsel's position would be for local government is to look at the situation and go, what is in the best interest of the city and how to protect the best interest of the city as a whole. Something I will throw out there is, while I do think that council, you guys are obviously elected and you represent the interests of the people, it's also kind of a bit of a misnomer or kind of a misconception out there that people think that, because I get a lot of calls all the time as city attorney in Columbus asking me, if I can help them out because they got a speeding ticket. I'm like, well, I'm actually the other guy on the other side. You don't want to talk to me. But basically, the most simple version of the answer I can give is, my client would be the city. I look at things from the perspective as a whole, as an entity. What is in the best interest of the city, but also what is the right advice to give the city? And that could change on a day-to-day basis. It could be a council member, it could be the chief admin officer, it could be director of public works. It's always going to change in the analysis. And so very, very great question. Not a very straightforward answer, and it's because it's very fact dependent. So there's no one size fits all on that. Getting dry mouth.
Larry McPhail, 315 Durland. My question is two parts. One is,
Two parts, you get charged all.
that's what I'm afraid of. Number one, you mentioned that you haven't really, you kind of keep a blind eye if it's not in front of you, right? So the question is, the first question is, you walked into a hornet's nest, literally. So there's dozens of people in here that are doing research all the time, their homework, they're searching the law, like everybody's involved. And it's taken hours and hours and hours, FOIA requests and, you know, all the different stuff that they've put into it. What's it gonna take for you to get up to speed on that? I mean, the hours that they put in, you're one man. So how much is it gonna cost the city for you to get up to speed on that? I mean, I know it's a tough question, but.
Yeah, and it's gonna get a vague answer. It depends on how much I need to familiarize myself with the facts and do my analysis. The other thing too, was discussed in our interview, and I think this may shed some light on what you're kind of asking. On an hourly basis, I also expect at some point, your city is gonna learn to be a little bit more efficient over time on its own. Because they're not gonna constantly want to come like, can you draft this? Can you do this? They're gonna probably start having to hand over a lot more finished product to keep costs down.
Right.
And so basically what the idea was in our interview was, we'll do as much work as we need to do for you folks, but also it's gonna come with a price tag. So at some point, and I assume it wouldn't take too long, at some point, people are gonna hone down their question, you know, they're gonna narrow the focus on it. So I can do a very specific research and analysis on it. If I get a big fat project that's really broad and vague and it's like, tell us exactly what to do with this application from start to finish, well, it's gonna take a lot of time. But if I'm starting to get very specific concrete requests of, can you review this ordinance and tell us if it violates this provision of this code, I can give a pretty short and sweet answer.
Just in general, what do you think something like that? Just something, hey, we've got this ordinance we need you to look at. How many hours?
How big is the ordinance? Is it like a paragraph or like 20 pages?
Take a rub. You've dealt with
Yeah.
them, you know it.
It could take as simple as a half hour, you know, some as short as a half hour to hours. We've had a lot of ordinance review in my time in Columbus. And fortunately for me and for my folks, it's been pretty specific stuff. Like, hey, I'll give you a prime example. We want to change the definition in our zoning code. We wanted to give a different definition of undeveloped property. And we want to do that because it affects, you know, the storm wastewater, you know, the wastewater storm, all that, the fees that we assess the property. And so something like that is just a simple tweak of a definition to make sure it jives with the rest of the ordinance. I've also gone through like a whole chapter of the ordinance and made numerous changes, and that obviously is going to take way more time. It just depends on the scope of the project.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Shauna Hopper, 504 Roundhouse. I guess I have a couple of questions. One, maybe not even be a question, but a concern of mine is knowing how things get. Laurel's not a proactive city. We are very reactive. We wait till the last minute to do a lot of things that require things happening over the weekend. What are your weekend and holiday rates?
We didn't put any different rates, but I'll also be honest, Grayson and I have little kids, we have families, and my weekends are usually, I'm available for emergencies, but my weekends are for my family and me, for the most part.
Understood, as all of ours should be. I just know that it happens quite frequently. And then I guess my last thing is, you know, Laurel has a lot of issues with finances, like Cheryl said, and there's a lot of things that wouldn't probably seem normal in some cities, but they're very normal in our city. And my concern is that at $250 an hour, that's going to add up very quickly. And that money could be used for emergency services, for a new garbage truck, for things that are truly needed. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying anything about your ability or anything like that. I am just concerned about the financial burden that, if we're not careful, could rack up quickly. Thank you.
Just real quick, keep doing this. 225 was the top one, not 250. But I get it. It's still, I get it. It's not insignificant. And twice now. But I appreciate that. And I think that's a very good point. And I'll be honest with you, like at some point down the road, if you have legal counsel that's constantly putting in 10, 15, 20 hours a week on civil work, you guys probably need to do an assessment of, do we need to redo or try to find somebody that's maybe more on like a permanent or employment basis? When we put in the RFQ, I know that the submittal said 20 hours a week, but I immediately called and was like, that cannot be, because I can't do that. I have a lot of cases I can't do, even between the two of us. That's a lot of time commitment that we just can't commit to at this point. And so the one thing that I'll say is when we put in for this, it was with this idea that maybe it's 20 to 25 hours a month would be the kind of average that we're putting in. And if it turns out over a short period of time to be much more than that or significantly more than that, we're absolutely willing to reconsider things. I'm not trying to ever give you guys or put you in a bad spot. That's not the point of me.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
Do you know
Sarah?
how many hours the current city attorney is putting in on average per week?
No, one thing with the contract that this law firm is they will specify what they have done. They will give the city of Laurel a bill. So they will let us know the work. At the present time, no, I don't know the hours or what she does other than what I see.
And if I may just piggyback, so we have a billing platform. This is going to sound a little weird. We bill to every 6 minutes. And so basically I do lifetime input of every single task and this is for every client, not just, wouldn't be for just you folks, but every client. I have a matter number set up and I put in there like 1.2 hours drafting, pleading, and then I code it properly. And then at the end of every month, when we send out a bill, it organizes by matter number. And basically what you would get is you would get a long or short, depending on how much work I did that month, but you would get a list of entries with every single thing that we did that month and how long it took us for each entry. And it even does a timekeeper initial for whether it's me or Grayson, or if we have a paralegal that works on like something. And paralegals, just background, they do a lot of like legwork, and a lot of people like them because they're like half the price. And they do a lot of like the initial legwork to kind of keep costs down, but you would have a timekeeper, you'd have an entry, and then you'd have the amount of time and then the date it was done.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. I believe on the contract, it said that collective bargaining was not part of your agreement. I believe that is currently something that our city attorney assists with. Right? With the unions and.
The last negotiations she was not part of it.
The last one, but previously.
She'd been placed on there by the mayor too.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is that, I guess then I'll say I don't necessarily know how all of that works. Is that typical that an attorney is at collective bargaining, and then how would we handle that not having that person?
So I'll tell you, and that I'll be honest with you on where that came about. So, and it might not be, the necessity of it might not be as urgent or as important as it is here, or here as it is where I'm at currently. So I do a lot of the prosecution work in Columbus. And so when I did my agreement, our police department is the only unionized department in our city. And I could see pretty quickly the writing on the wall. If I get in the middle of that, I'm going to make somebody upset. And so what I did in that agreement is I said, I don't want to be part of CBA because I got to keep good relationships with my police department as well as with, you know, the remainder of the city hall. Doing just civil work, that's not, that interest or that concern is not as prevalent because I wouldn't be doing any prosecution work. But we had put that in there and we kind of said, like, if this makes sense to you folks, we kind of want to stay out of the collective bargaining. But if that's something that you folks wanted to see in there, that we could easily make that change. It's just, that's kind of where it comes from.
So just to follow,
Go ahead,
oh,
go
is that
ahead.
okay? I'm sorry, did I
No,
jump?
you're
in?
all right.
Okay, so just to follow up then on that. So let's say that we approve this and we get rolling and we feel like we do need that support, we would just adjust the contract, kind of come back to the table?
Yeah, we
on
just
this?
amend it.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Banks.
My question's a little off, but because of the way the fee schedule is everything, I was wondering about currently our attorney comes to some of our city council meetings and answers our questions directly. This doesn't seem like that's gonna be something we would be able to continue with this type of fee schedule. Just wondering about that.
You want me to answer that? Okay. That's a good point. And so that's something we had talked about is a question that we had asked, Grayson and I asked was, because in Columbus, we don't do workshops, but we do council meetings twice a month and I do attend those. And I had asked the question of, do you expect your whoever your legal counsel will be to attend each and every meeting, workshop, whatever it is? And the feedback I had received was maybe on the really important ones, but if you guys have a pretty mundane, more mundane than usual agenda, it may make sense to either not show up or maybe just be available on any kind of, like, we could do some sort of video appearance so we're not doing travel time, things like that. But the understanding that I had was it wouldn't be a common occurrence except for the kind of more important agenda items for us to be present at the council meetings. One of us, I mean.
Go ahead, come up, state your name and address, please.
I'm Julie Jones. I'm the 1201 West 4th Street. And I just recently resigned from the school on March 31st as a business manager. But I do know that they have hired an attorney to help with the forensic thing. And I just would like to, and they set a budget because it wasn't in their budget really. And so they're having to take it out of some funds that they don't really like to, but anyway, I would like to ask that the city council, and if they should hire this attorney, that they would work with the school. I think that if both of us come together, it would be more effective. That's what I'd like to see.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Vogely.
Good job in answering the family question. Weekends are great family time. One of the big sticking points, I did send council some information on the agreement just after I reviewed it, but collective bargaining was my big sticking point with that because it takes so much time. But if we didn't involve the attorney during collective bargaining, who's reviewing the contract? So, not for you, that's for the city. I just heard that we didn't involve an attorney during the last negotiation. So who reviewed the agreement?
So the agreement hasn't been finalized. We ended
Okay, so
negotiations, so
somebody
it's
just-
ongoing. It hasn't came before city council yet. So the draft is still being, we just had a meeting Monday with the union representative in Miles City. They are formalizing the draft in Word in a document so that then we can take it forward and have it reviewed.
Okay. So there is going to be legal review.
There's always, we've been trying to get
Okay.
always legal review going.
Because I would just ask our city to include this in the agreement so you don't have to negotiate more, especially if the attorneys are okay with it. Other question I had was 2 attorneys. There has to be a lead attorney because our charter states that we will have a civil attorney, singular civil attorney, and it must be a person, not a corporation or an organization, because you can't supervise a corporation. So I just am wondering if the city plans on making a lead counsel that is the person that somebody contacts directly? Or are we going to make contact with 2 attorneys and then also maybe with a paralegal? And I remember when Michelle first started, when the civil attorney first started, that she was up there and almost spoke more than anybody else in the meeting, reviewing ordinances, reviewing policies. She knew the policies like she had gone through them time and time and time again, which had to have taken hours. And I know that the staff is really used to using the civil attorney. So department heads are allowed to contact the attorney. CAO is allowed to contact the attorney. And anybody pretty much was able to contact the attorney. But the nice thing is there were controls set. There was a set amount that was charged during the month. So anybody could contact her during the month and it wouldn't be more than $6,000. That's not going to happen with the new folks. So I think that the city needs to have controls on who makes contact with the attorney, and that there is a singular person, preferably the mayor, who those communications go through to limit the amount of time that these attorneys are being used, because they're going to be used for way more than 20 hours a month. I guarantee you that, at least at first, until everybody gets used to not using the attorney for making decisions. Do you like to eliminate risk or manage it? I'll let you answer that. It's an important question.
So, I have yet to find a city or any organization where risk has been eliminated. That's why you don't have risk elimination departments. I do also, it's right up my alley. This is all I do for a living. So basically, I would say you're always gonna have risk management, because you're never gonna have the perfect foresight and what a decision is gonna lead to down the road. And so the best thing you can do is try to use your collective knowledge to come forward with a plan to mitigate or reduce risk, but you're never going to eliminate it.
Good answer. So I think there were some questions that I had still around I don't know if she's the current attorney, if Attorney Brockman is the current attorney, or if she has resigned. I'm not sure. I never did hear that she formally, I heard that she sent a letter in, but not a formal date, which law requires that you put a date on there. Is the current civil attorney's resignation formally accepted? Who accepted the resignation? I think because that position is really a special position. It's the only position in the city where the mayor cannot fire that staff member. It is a staff member on the mayor's cabinet or in the mayor's executive cabinet, but the mayor cannot fire that individual. The mayor can recommend termination. The council has to approve that, because it just is special. It's the way the charter's set up. So I'm wondering if the council has accepted that resignation yet, because I haven't seen a formal motion or anything to accept it. Will the current attorney remain responsible for pending matters? I'm thinking so, because it sounds like she's dealing with those. Will there be any overlap billing or double payment period where the current civil attorney's working on something and they're working on something, and it could be some tandem issues just to take care of? Who is responsible for transferring files, pending matters, privilege records, and institutional knowledge, which is standard, but hopefully that's all in it. I think in terms of the contract language, it would be nice to see an annual not to exceed cap in the contract. That it just lists that maximum annual amount, or maybe monthly, that it's reviewed and that somebody sits down and visits about it. One attorney meeting rule that only one attorney should attend. I think it's common sense, but it's not in there, and common sense doesn't usually rule in contracts. No duplicate billing without approval. The city should not pay for 2 attorneys to attend the same meeting, and that's what I just said earlier, sorry. Detailed monthly invoices, so that you can see the time and the task, and I think you guys probably have a system that does that. Council approval for special projects, like litigation, major ordinances, special legal opinions, large contract reviews. Obviously, you're not going to be able to set a budget for this because you don't know what the expenses are going to be. So if council does have a little bit of control, the executive branch obviously has all the control in terms of managing it once you've agreed on the contract. But if council could be involved in that, especially because it is a budget issue. to have a clear labor council plan. So collective bargaining is a huge thing. I've been involved in that at past organizations, and if anything that this city needs is an attorney for collective bargaining. And does your collective bargaining exclusion in the contract exclude actions like throughout the course of a year? If there's a grievance filed or anything like that, that would fall under the collective bargaining agreement?
No, it was just for the negotiation of the actual CBA.
Okay, okay. Travel and expense limits, just that there be limits placed on that to protect the city. And then maybe somebody to do a written comparison to current cost of how many hours our attorneys spending now versus what the projections are for these attorneys. And they can be, you know, much more productive and efficient just by simply the way that they manage. But will the city pay for one attorney bringing the other attorney up to speed? Will there be billable hours that way? Can you answer that? Like, let's say Grayson is attending for 2 weeks to something, and then you have to take over because Grayson's going on vacation. Does the city pay for Grayson to bring you up to speed?
So, no. How that would probably, I'm just thinking through it. I could be wrong because I shouldn't speak for Grayson because he's not here. But sometimes when we have firm management, things like that on any kind of case, if we want to account for our time so that people know we're not sitting around doing nothing, what we usually do is a no charge in the system. So we still keep track of the time for responsibility purposes. But if it's anything like case administration or file management, we don't routinely bill for that for any client. You can't really. So, yeah.
Okay, right. And then you covered city council meetings, and I think that, at least in my own opinion, legal counsel has been involved in city council meetings way too much. And is there, no, that's it. Appreciate it. Good family man.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone else that would like to come and ask a question?
I'll be nice, Ryan, I promise. Laura Kirschman, 939 West 4th Street. So I'm sure you've heard a lot about that forensic mental health facility because I believe they tried to approach Columbus about it, and civil attorney out there. Did you have any hand in helping them kind of go against that and stop it at all?
So, no. So that was the thing is, honestly, the extent of what I saw happen at a council meeting was we had a citizen or two come to us and basically say, why aren't you guys being more gung-ho against this? We're all going like, well, I know we're on a list of names, but nobody ever came to us for anything. There was no land bought. So basically nothing ever came of it, maybe fortunately for me. And so no, I didn't have any active involvement in that. It didn't go anywhere.
Okay. So that is a huge issue for us right now. And it's a battle that we're going to be fighting for God only knows how long. So that's another thing that is going to be up in the air as far as how much help we might need attorney-wise. So another thing to kind of keep in mind. I can't remember if I had anything else. You know, I would say just a financial standpoint, we all know that we struggle financially here in our town. So I do think we need to be very conscientious as we make this decision and see if what we need to do with the contract, if we can put limitations in anyway. But yeah, thank you for coming and thank you for hearing us all out. I really appreciate that.
We have one more.
I'm Vern Manley, 1018 7th Avenue. We all know that we've got capital improvements coming. So my question is about construction contracts. And that maybe this, I don't know who helped you with the construction contracts, but contracts can be worded to encourage efficiencies, efficiency in the execution of them. And I'm just wondering if you have background in that or if you're even the one that handles it, that kind of thing.
So I can give you an answer based on my experience of what I've done so far in my career. So I kind of view things, and every town's different, but in my experience, I'm sorry, I'm not focused, set straight ahead. I kind of put them into two categories. So you have to think like public construction contracts, under Title VII, we have a cap of 80,000. If it's 80 or below 80, one of the two, you don't have to go to public bid. So what I've done in Columbus is I have actually drafted all the template public construction agreements, professional service agreements, and basically I've pre-blessed them, so to speak, for lack of better terms, and said, use these moving forward. And then for the contracts above 80,000, you usually, especially your bigger ones, usually you have an engineer involved and they put like your big $1 million projects. They are the ones that put together a lot of the contracts for and doing the public bidding documents and putting together the actual contract documents. They have these big like template engineering, like their stacks. And so my experience has basically been for the 80,000 and under, I have been really, my involvement has been to say, here's what the language I want to see in there, fill in the blanks, give me the attached documents that are required, like the bond proof of insurance, work comp stuff, and then basically just present that. As long as you're using my form, for the most part, I'm fine with it. I don't need to, I'll sign the approved as the form, but it's my form. So that's been my experience. I don't know how it's done here, but my personal experience has been, I created the contract, and so I know I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. I think my question is probably more of a procedural and process question, and kind of goes back to some of the things that Mr. Vogely mentioned as well. It has been a tumultuous couple of months. And as far as the current city attorney, we did get a resignation letter. It was April 5th, but it was never disseminated. There was never a statement made. I assure you there were multiple requests for that, but that did not happen. So I somewhat feel like this is the cart before the horse. I think we really need to have some conversations about what the process looks like before we can even get to, a yay or nay vote on this. Like, what are we? So I think we need to talk about the process. And I don't know if we want to do that here. It is my intention this evening to request a closed session to talk about some personnel issues and some litigation type stuff here in the future with just the council. But I'm curious if we've even thought about what the process looks like here.
I'm going to turn this over to Kurt. We actually have a copy here that he'll read to you.
So under the civil city attorney contract and the termination part of it, the modification was this contract or any provision thereof may be modified at any time upon mutual consent expressed in mutual signed writing. The contract may be terminated at any time by either party with a 30-day written notice. So the notice that you were speaking about came into the city. It was a letter of termination, multiple phone calls. Prior to that resignation letter, it was expressed to me that they were terminating their service with the city of Laurel, and the city attorney recommended, even in their termination letter, that the city move forward with the RFP process with the mayor, the city clerk treasurer, and myself to move forward with that, hold the interviews, and bring the council consideration an attorney that would be able to do that. And in the termination letter, she also stipulated that she would work on transition services with that new council. And so that was in the termination letter. We took it her direction to do the RFP. She asked me to get it out that week in order to move forward with the city council. And that's how we proceeded. It was at the direction of the city attorney doing all that work. I believe the mayor did reiterate that email that he would hope that she would stay on and take care of the issues that were present. He did that via email. And then he stipulated that we'd work on trying to transfer those duties appropriately, what duties need to be transferred. And we had that discussion in the interview, and I'd like Ryan to, that was one of the questions that I had asked Ryan was, how do you handle that stuff? And I think if I can, Councilmember McKay, can I refer it over to Ryan, please, and ask how that typically happens when you have a transition?
So just on transition of file, basically, assuming we are selected and we are, go through, that's a lot of assumptions there, but going through all those kind of initial assumptions, basically there'd be a meeting or two conversations, I'd be communications with your current counsel. And I'm sure at some point there'd be me reaching out, either she coming to our office or vice versa, and just basically kind of doing a walkthrough, of what we have pending, what's kind of high priority, what's due now, what's kind of back burner stuff, what's stuff that's kind of on the to-do list but haven't quite got there yet. Basically, it's like a debriefing. And then whatever files that need to be transferred over, we would facilitate that process. Something that, we had talked about in the interview as well as like, the communication. I think it came up like, how would we communicate with the city? And something we had talked about is, it might be a good idea to have just a generic email that goes to both of us, and then we can kind of use an internal, hey, got this, don't worry about it, kind of internal communication. But yeah, it's just kind of like debriefing it, basically figuring out what's high priority, what's medium priority, what's low priority, what is not even close to priority. And kind of like triaging it and figuring out what you have to get to right away. Because there may be some bigger projects that are coming up on the pike, but there also may be some smaller things that have like an absolute deadline that cannot be, blown or whatever. So it's pretty common. I've transferred filed over to other firms. I've been the one who took over in mid case and had the file transferred over. And usually it's just a frank discussion amongst counsel. So, and sometimes there's a memo involved to kind of explain things. So I wouldn't envision any issues.
Go ahead.
Chris Fogley, 306 East 4th Street. I thought you said you weren't a politician. That was a good answer. That was a good answer. I think Council McKay was referring to, was the resignation legal? Was it supplied? And I heard from CAO Markegard that there was a termination. There's a termination clause in her contract of the 30-day termination for any cause. But our city charter, which is our constitution, states that any termination of the city attorney must come to the council. It can't only be the mayor or the CAO, but it must come to the council. There's two bodies that need to approve that termination. And so that was my question earlier. And I'm not sure, you probably aren't going to get any legal advice, but it is free tonight. So we're enjoying this free time with the attorney. But I just think that that's important for process and for legality for our council. And I'm not an attorney, but I can read, and our charter is very specific in that it's not for any other staff in this organization except for the attorney. The attorney must be approved when they're terminated by the council. So that's all I have.
Go ahead.
I just want to follow up because he followed up on me, if you don't mind. And that's was my question too. I have no doubt to the professionalism of if you were to come on and Attorney Brockman to step out, I have no doubt that, there will be communication and be brought up to speed. My question is about the process of it, the transparency, the communication of it. That's where I think the issue is, really digging into what does our charter say and what are the steps that we are not only required to take, but that we should be taking because it's the right thing to do. I have no doubt that you guys will do what you need to do, but we need to do what we need to do. And I feel like this has been hasty, and I think there needs to be a whole lot more digging into this process than just this conversation and voting next week.
Shirley White, 512 Wyoming Avenue. The initial resignation letter came under duress from her. It was undated, and so it's not really official since it has to be dated. And then the dismissal of her was, has to be approved by the council, right? So it's up to you folks. But and you sound like a wonderful attorney, don't get me wrong. But in the process of looking at this, I wonder if it has occurred, and if it hasn't occurred, should it occur, some conversations with her. Because I think through the process of everything that we have gone through as a city with the city government, and not, y'all do great jobs, don't Don't get me wrong, you do. I think it has become abundantly clear that she did a great job for the city. She told the city some factual truths that they may not have wanted to hear, but she was very factual and she was right on point with the law. So I think maybe a conversation needs to be held to see if she's still interested in retaining her position, and, you know, leave part of it up to her. If you still think that she needs to be discharged, then great, that's up to you guys. But I just think that you should consider that, especially in light of the costs associated with the new attorney group. Thank you.
Elizabeth Gilg, 1200 Cedar Crest Circle. Since you brought it up, I am curious, did the current city attorney's resignation email or letter include allegations of sexual harassment against the city mayor or not?
Actually, I don't feel that we should be really in this process of discussing.
So I'm wondering though, like, if, like, since we're trying to, in the future, be a more transparent and like, talk things through, what is the usual process? So like, if she emails in and says, hey, like, you know, this is happening, I allegate this, I am resigning or will resign if it's not changed. Is this something, like, I feel that it's been, how long? It's been like a month. Nobody brought it up at like any meeting. They didn't say, you know, we want to notice the public that our city attorney like emailed this in and that this is happening. Is this not something?
1 second, Richard, go ahead.
A point of order, we're talking about something, we're supposed to be talking about this agreement, this resolution with this current attorneys, and talking about the contract of somebody else is not appropriate.
So adopting a contract, we would have to, then this would override the other contract. The other contract needs to be terminated.
We're not talking about a different contract. We're only talking about this resolution here tonight with these.
Can we do one without the other? Can we accept this without?
That's not part of the,
I don't understand how it's not though. I'm curious, like, why isn't it? Can we accept this? Like, is this something we can accept without talking about the other thing? I don't know. Like, is that a decision that can be made?
talking about comparing the contracts, yes, but not personal items that are in the contract.
I don't think, go ahead, Jody McKay.
Well, I think she asks a good question, which is what my point was too, that we've got to have a little bit more conversation about the personnel issue, which we are obligated to and allowed to do in a closed session. I think there's a lot of things that need to get hammered out before we're presenting to the public.
I mean, I think he's great. Kind of reminds me of Chris Pratt a little bit, which I really dig. My husband would probably also like agree when I get home. I don't have a problem with where the city goes legally. I just want them to do it the right way. And I want to know like that we're doing it the right way and that everyone is being treated fairly and that that this isn't something that just goes away in the face of a resignation because it's a big deal.
Councilmember go ahead.
I need to concur with Councilmember McKay. There's a lot of unresolved things that need to be discussed. So a closed session is, I think, not even something to think about at this point. I think it absolutely needs to happen. There's just too many things that need to be discussed and resolved before I think we can move forward with a lot of things. That is all. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, Ryan, for sitting through this, and thank you for answering the questions. I guess looking at this right now, this discussion for Attorney Brockman was not supposed to be on this agenda for tonight. We wanted to discuss new people coming on, and we're trying to move forward. And it's a huge thing to move forward. And I think that is our intentions, is to move forward. Now, speaking for the resignation is what it is. It's not my place to call for a special meeting. I don't believe. Go ahead.
If two council members request a special meeting, I believe that we need to have a special meeting. We need to have a closed session. We have got to come up with a plan. We have got to get ourselves together. I'm not saying we have to have it right now because it has to be noticed. I understand that.
It is noted. It is noted. We will note it that we need to have this.
I want to schedule it tonight because there's been too much of we'll get to it, and then it doesn't happen. I'd like to see us have a conversation, whether it be in council issues or other items, where everybody gets their calendar out and we make a plan.
Absolutely agree. I don't know how we move forward without having a closed session and resolving some of these issues. There's too many questions unanswered. There's so much that needs to be discussed, and we have to be able to have that conversation. I would agree it needs to get scheduled tonight.
I would also agree. Make it noted that Mr. Councilmember Edgman and Irv Wilkie, go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to chime in with the other council members here that we have to resolve the past, if you will, or current attorney, because that issue hasn't come to us, so we haven't made a decision. That decision was made up there, but it hasn't been made here. Until it comes to this body, we have an opportunity to sift through that and figure out for ourselves if it's something that we're going to do. And if that's what we're going to do, then we do that. But we haven't done that. It hasn't been presented to us. And I think it's right for the present city attorney to go through that process and give her time to speak and bring the issues that she may have with that. That's separate from what we learned tonight. What we learned tonight was very informational, very upfront. I think was very well presented. The questions were absolutely fantastic. But I think we have to go back and finish our work before we move forward to something else. Moving forward means that we've ended something. We haven't ended anything yet. Thank you.
Well, go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you. On 5 April 2026, Michelle Brockman said, I indicated in my communication approximately 10 days ago, I have decided that it is the best for my law firm and myself to terminate the attorney-client relationship between the city of Laurel and Meridian Law. And she instructed Mr. Markegard to send on an RFP. She did not respond to that. We had two law firms that responded to that. So I don't see how we can retain her when she did not follow the rules and respond to the RFP like the other two firms did. It's not fair to those other two firms that did follow the rules and applied for the attorney's job here in Laurel. And also on her contract with us, it states her firm as the lawyer, not her as a person and by name. It's the same as what items 2, 3, and 7 are stating. This agreement made and entered into by and between the city of Laurel and therefore referred to as client, the Meridian Law PLLC, therefore referred to as attorney. It's the same as that resolution number 7 here in the discussion tonight. And I'm not in favor of a closed session because I don't know what we can discuss that can't be discussed publicly.
Go ahead.
We're still on the same item. Okay, I don't think,
Well, we're not supposed to be on that item.
oh, I thought I heard the
No.
acting mayor say something about the two issues being different, but I think that we're not talking about the current attorney's resignation in terms of only that. We're saying that there seems to already be an attorney and you can't fill the city attorney's spot with another attorney until you've released that attorney. And the letter that Mr. Closey just read did not have an effective resignation date on it. And that is required under Montana law to have an actual date for resignation, even though she did tell you to send out RFPs. So I'm not a legal counsel, but I just know that the city should probably do that. It only takes, under Robert's rules, it takes a motion and a second to go into executive session and obviously affirmative vote. But that would be what is required. So that way the council members could have a vote in going into it or not. Thanks.
Cheryl Hill, 815 Fifth Avenue. I am not legal and I'm just sitting here listening. I encourage and agree with you guys to go into executive order, not just because of Ms. Brockman's situation and everything. I think there's other things that need to be discussed between you guys that's not public knowledge. And it's important for you guys to get those questions answered with an attorney together as a group. And I encourage you to do that because you can't get all those questions answered. All due respect, there's other things that should be talked about, and I think you guys do need to. So I think there needs to be a motion to go into executive whenever that is, because there is stuff that needs to be talked about other than just this pending situation. So that's just my encouragement to you guys. I think you guys do need to have a meeting without all of us sitting here so you guys can come together and talk as a council. That's my encouragement.
Go ahead, Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. Yes, I plan to bring this up later to add into what I think we need to discuss. I think we need to discuss the process. I'm not necessarily advocating for retention of, but I think we need a clear process on how we're going to move on from one to another, and if that's what we're going to do and what that's going to look like, and to make sure that we're following our charter and that we're following the law. I think that we also need to be discussing the mayor vacancy and what that process is going to look like going forward and how we as a council are going to handle it. I know there's some different information that's coming in, whether it be from the elections office or the county attorney. But we need to have a plan and we need to be ready to go, and we're not going to have a lot of time. And I think that's another thing that we need to, as a group, have a very candid discussion about. So it's not just the attorney situation. It's also to discuss the vacancy, the mayor vacancy, and how to move forward. So if it requires a motion, I would like to make a motion that we go into a closed session of a date and time that we can all come to an agreement on to discuss those matters.
I'll second that. We can't make a motion, not at a workshop meeting. What date would you like it put on?
Everybody got their calendars? Well, do we want to try and do it this week? Today's Tuesday. What about Thursday, the 21st at 6 o'clock?
That's this Thursday.
Yeah.
We need 48 hours. So it'd be 48 hours from the time we can post the agenda.
What's everybody doing Friday? Friday's actually better for me.
I get off early on
Friday at 6, Friday the 22nd at 6.
Memorial weekend.
I won't be here.
You can all leave and
I believe
has to be
both sessions
48
have to be
hours.
noticed, unfortunately.
I know that you don't want to talk, but like also like the resignation from Mayor Wagner. The resignation from Mayor Wagner by Montana statute has to be accepted by the city council within 72 hours
of when it was received. Still, just so you know, I'm not trying to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about Wednesday, the 27th? At 6?
We have to have a
You have
special
to,
meeting
what'd you say?
anyway,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
We have to have a special meeting within 72 hours.
Okay.
So that's Friday. That's by Friday. But there's so many people that.
Well, with the notice of his resignation or the resignation, because he said that his resignation was effective May 22nd. So 72 hours of that.
72 hours from the time he gave the resignation.
So 72 hours from this one.
From this morning. What are we doing tomorrow?
We need 48. Jody?
48 and 72, like, so,
I know.
so tell me where that lands then. Friday again?
So. It would be Wednesday, Thursday. No.
Tuesday.
As soon as we could do it would be 48 hours, which would be 8:30 on Thursday night.
8:30 on Thursday night.
By 5 o'clock on Friday. 72 hours.
5 o'clock on Friday.
Hours. You have to have it done before then.
What about earlier on Friday? You said you were leaving, but what if we did earlier on Friday? I know, but there's full timers and stuff.
What's that?
Earlier on Friday, like mid-afternoon. I don't know what everybody's schedule is like.
I can make that work. I'm moving.
I can't
so.
make it work, so I'm gone. I have reservations. The whole works for a year.
Well, we're in a time crunch of the
Well-
72 hours. It's 72 hours of when he gave it as opposed to when it's effective.
Which I believe is 12:40 Friday.
Well, somebody throw out some ideas here. President, you got any suggestions? A time frame?
How much time do you have to give for an emergency?
Yeah, right?
That's what
Yeah.
we need.
Brian, you got any ideas?
Right.
Yeah.
I see him. He's just gonna have to wait 1 minute while we do this. Thursday at 11. Pardon me? I could zoom in too. Yeah, we're just trying to get to this situation and I'll let him speak here 1 second, please. Because really we can't do it. What does it have to be is, could it be done Thursday? No.
It has to, no matter what, unless it's not an emergency.
No.
Just under Laurel Municipal Code, the council, under meetings, presiding officer, just under this section, I'm just pulling up. Presiding officer of the council shall be the mayor who shall decide all the votes of the council and no other vote. Chairman of the council called the president shall preside if the mayor is absent. The vice chairman of the council called the vice president shall preside if both the mayor and the president are absent.
Are you suggesting we have a meeting without Council President Canopy? Is that why you read that, or?
I was just reading, I'm just going over the meeting clauses in your Laurel Municipal Code, so
you're gonna have to wait 1 minute. I'm gonna go ahead and recognize this gentleman who's had his hand up in the air. Go ahead and speak, give us your address.
Jeremy Lovell, 1035 9th Avenue. I guess this is kind of, you guys are making a rash decision based on some information which may or may not be right. And you're jumping, which is reactionary again. And I agree, it needs to happen, like this needs to happen, the order of operations, where everybody here is in agreement, there needs to be a closure there before we hire here, and that's fine. We don't have a problem with that. I would think that it should happen in order. So nothing is your law firm or anything, but you guys, we're seeing you scramble because you have no information. You don't know if it's actually 72 hours or, and I'm not saying it's not or that it is, but find out that information first. And then you guys can do that tonight, I guess, take a minute to find that out, get a hold of if she's still our attorney or not. I mean, there's some clarification that needs to happen and obviously it hasn't been followed through on. This is the reactionary stuff that we are not wanting to see. We want to see some on top of it sort of information. You guys should already have this. You've had all day since the resignation. The process should have been put together already. So I'm a little disappointed in that we're just all of a sudden scrambling. It's important. It does need to get done. If it's that 48 hours or 72 hours, how all that happens, it needs to be known, but this is kind of disappointing that this wasn't thought about ahead of time.
I just shared it with Sarah. I found an exception to.
Jennifer.
I am so sorry. I'm usually just loud. I found an exception for the meeting notice on the commerce.montana.gov. And it says exceptions to public or to notice and public participation requirements. And it says provisions of MCA 2-3-103 do not apply to, okay, it says that this must be made to maintain and protect the interests of the board, including but not limited to the filing of lawsuit, participating in administrative hearing. I'd rather just give it to you. Would you mind reading it?
Kelly, go ahead.
He won't be able to see your. He won't be able to see your phone.
Sorry, I'm really not trying to.
You're not?
More visual.
In the public interest, safety.
Emergency affecting the public health and welfare and safety,
That's what's
then you go down. Must be able to maintain and protect the interests of the board. The lawsuit, or participating in.
Public interest and public safety, public interest. You can, it's public interest, figure it out underneath. So. We have to go.
Thanks for having that conversation. It's always with me. Good job. What'd you find?
See you later.
We'll visit later.
Thanks, Ryan.
Have a good one, y'all. Thank you.
I'm going to call this session back in order right now. And you've got.
So just under your meeting clause, under the Laurel Municipal Code, regular meetings of city council shall be held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month at a time and set by the council chambers of City Hall, or at such other time and place as designated by the council. Should the regular meeting be a recognized holiday, this council shall with proper notice set alternative day for the meeting. Special meetings of the council may be called in accordance with section 7-5-4102(1)(c) and 7-5-4122 MCA. To ensure public participation, all meetings of the council shall be open to the public except as provided in section MCA 2-3-203. A quorum shall consist of the 5 council members. The affirmative vote of the 5 council members shall be necessary to adopt or reject any motion, resolution, or ordinance. And so it says in here you have special meetings. I believe the chair can call a special meeting. I do believe you have to have the 48 hours notice. And you only can close the meetings for the exceptions under MCA. Shall be open to the except to the public in MCA 2-3-203. MCA.
Best we can do it would be whatever time I post it tonight, 48 hours. So Thursday night at 9 o'clock.
That works.
Or Friday morning. Or,
It's really good.
you know what I mean? Like, just, we have to give.
By clarification, if you guys wanted it, it actually has way more leeway than.
Go ahead, Mr. Vogel. Hit your mic.
This-
There you go.
This just falls under recall voting and a resignation that it's not under standard resignations under Montana code, but it just says that it must be accepted. It doesn't say that you have to vote on it. It just says it must be accepted within 72 hours. And I think really what the language is saying here, and again, I'm not an attorney, but I think the language is saying that you can't reject it and make him go to a recall vote if he wants to resign before the recall vote. And so I can give you, it's MCA 2-16-622. And it does say it becomes effective 72 hours after it is offered. So really the date that the mayor put is later than the 72 hours, but I don't know when you accepted it. I think I saw it on Q2 or something, but I think that if you look that up and then you can just move on. I'm sorry that it created a turmoil, but that's just clarification, I think, on it. Yep, thanks.
was trying to do is, closed session is what she,
Right.
not.
Not with public, but with just
She
the
wants a
council.
closed session, but that's why we're just trying to incorporate that.
Say the earliest time we can do it is.
I think the 72 hours is moot necessary. I mean, it, just from what I'm reading. So what we need to come up with then is a closed session. If we cannot get that done this week, what about next week? Because all these issues are still going to be here. If we wanted to be after our council meeting on the 26th.
That works. That works. I think it's just going to be something that's a little more chance to think and decide, but that would be just fine. And I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. I would then also say that it would be likely that there would be a motion then to table the appointment of the new attorney until we have our special meeting to hammer out some of those details. And this would also give us a little bit of time to research, what does our charter say about the city attorney? What's the rules? What's the laws? Just to make sure that we're doing it the right way. I'm not saying that her resignation wasn't effective when she gave it, but I want to make sure that we're doing it all the right way.
I can
So
appreciate that.
if we like the Tuesday, the 26th after council, which will be a very long day for those of us in emergency services, because I'll just go ahead and say right now, we have an emergency services meeting on Tuesday, the 26th at 5:45, and it's on Tuesday because of Memorial Day on Monday. Long day.
They're all long days, sweetheart. We'll do it. We're good. Yeah, I guess there's been a motion, but we can't use a motion. So I guess what we're gonna do, we're requesting that we have a meeting after city council
Like, yes, she wants a closed session on
on
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
the 20th.
Yes, so if that would go on Friday's agenda, that would be fantastic. On the agenda that goes out on Friday is what I'm saying. Thank you.
That works. I apologize for, I'm not an attorney by any means. I'm just like yourselves, a concerned citizen. That's why I was in that chair. So we're doing our best. We're trying to move along and move on. I will state that for a fact. So this is what we're going to do is move on to Tuesday after city council meeting, and it'll stay right in here and it'll be a closed session. Is there any other questions on that? Jody, anything else? Is that good with you? Anybody else on the council have anything? Anyone? Go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate the notice that you gave today and your willingness to sit in that chair. That's not a comfortable spot to be in, and without, experience or whatever, I know that you've been digging in and trying to learn things and figure things out, and it's noticed, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. So are there any other items? Any other items?
I just wanted to bring up that somebody mentioned the mural on the underpass. I don't know, is that something the city council has to approve, or is that just something that the city itself approves outside of city council?
State highway actually owns it. Yeah.
Do you want to?
I don't have an answer, but
State highway.
it's state highway.
I'm not really asking you guys for anything, I just wanted to let you know that I'm already working on it, so.
Go ahead.
Gary Waddell, 1241 Elkhorn Drive. I worked on the railroad. The railroad does not own the underpass. The city does. We maintain it. The railroad maintains it. We do not own it.
Thank you.
It's a state.
It's a state highway.
Interesting.
Well, you learn something new every day. And Forrest Sanderson, would you like to come up and speak, please?
Waited for this, the whole of the meeting. Good conversations. We did the bid opening today on the downtown improvement project for the TIF district.
The fiscal 27 budget that we submitted was for $3 million to complete that project. The apparent low bid is right at $2.2 million, about $800,000 less than we anticipated. So good news for the end of the meeting today.
Thanks, Forrest. Any other items?
No.
Are there any other items? So attendance of upcoming council meeting? Councilmember Banks?
There's a possibility I won't be here Tuesday, but I'm gonna try to make it work.
Thank you. Anyone else in the council? Any other announcements? Go ahead, Vice President Closey.
Thank you. Since this weekend coming up is Memorial Weekend, on Friday, the American Legion Auxiliary will be in different places in Laurel, passing out poppies for people. On Saturday at 9 o'clock, veterans, the American Legion, the VFW, and any public that wants to help will be putting the flags out on the veterans' headstones at the city cemetery. And then Monday, Memorial Day, there'll be a Memorial Day service at the city cemetery at 10 o'clock and at the National Cemetery starting at 11:45.
Thank you, Vice President Closey. Are there any other announcements? Adjournment.